Today as our guest, we have Mike Olson, who is the Chief Operating Officer of CAP Services. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Well, thank you for having me.
You bet. I like the information that you're bringing here today. We're going to talk about housing for moderate income people and the things that CAP Services are doing here. But for those of us who are only familiar with one or two of the areas the CAP is involved in, why don't you give us a little bit of a history and a synopsis?
Well, CAP Services originated in 1966 as part of President Johnson's War on Poverty. So we're designated as a community action agency. We're a private nonprofit in Portage, Waupaca, Waushara, Marquette, and Outagamie counties, and then we do offer services in some of the outlying counties, and we've done some real estate development throughout the whole state of Wisconsin. Okay, we're a rather large organization that people don't realize that, but we're 230 employees, and we run around 25 different programs, and we have 7 focus areas. Okay, jobs and economic security, jobs, business lending and coaching, community and real estate development, housing and transportation, family and child development, health and wellness, and advocacy and community development. So what does all that mean, right? Okay, so if you really think about it in layman's terms, if you think about programs like domestic violence programs, Head Start, apartment rentals, commercial and business lending, you take all those things and we're trying to impact the lives of the people that live in our communities and trying to advance our communities.
One of the things that has always impressed me about CAP Services is that as an organization, you're very holistic. So you don't just take one part of a person's life and say, we're going to help you with this. Like, we're going to help you get a job, or we're going to help you get an apartment. Well, that's all fine. I don't have a job. Well, we have avenues that we can help you with. Well, that's great, but I don't have a car.
Right.
We have work and wheels that we can help you with. Well, that's fine, but I don't have babysitter, and it keeps going. And CAP can step in and help with the entire picture and help people get back on their feet.
And we really try to do that, you know, and not every shoe fits in every situation, but we do. We have staff dedicated in all these different departments and programs at CAP Services, but we really try to get, if we have a household that will work in more than one program, we try to get them over to that other program to get involved. And just like you said, if we can help someone increase their skills to get a better paying job, in the meantime, before, during, or after that, they need a vehicle to get to that job, we have an auto lending program that they may qualify for and help them buy a car to do that.
Well, because it doesn't do anybody any good to help me into housing that I can afford if I don't have the rest of my life able to do it. So I like that.
Yeah.
But we are here today to talk about housing because CAP Services has done several programs here in the Waupaca area for housing. So tell me, before we get into the 3 programs, tell me a little bit about why Waupaca needs CAP Services and housing here.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a very broad question, but the services that we provide, so let's just take one of the programs that a lot of people are probably familiar with, is the low-income weatherization program. If you're eligible for energy assistance, the old fuel assistance program, you'll qualify for the weatherization program. And not only do you qualify for it, but the house you live in also has to qualify for it, right? But we'll go in and evaluate your home and make sure it complies with the funding source. But we're able to do measures in the home, such as attic insulation, sidewall, a lot of air sealing, things like that. And typically we can lower your energy bill down by 20 to 30%. What does that do? Well, that puts more money in their pocket.
Sure.
It may put more money in their pocket to put gas in their car to get to their job. I mean,
Right.
it's the little things like that, that if you add them all up, helps the needs of the people in the community.
Yeah, the weatherization program is great because if you're low to even moderate income, and there's been so many struggles over the last almost 10 years with people in income, and I was actually looking at it on a graph, and we have yet to get back to the income level in Waupaca that we were at in 2005 to 2008.
Right, right.
So it leaves people struggling to try to make ends meet. And if you have a family to feed or a house payment to make, the last thing you're going to be able to do then is to fix your house and put in new windows.
Correct, correct.
So,
And that's, that's another program CAP Services has. It's the Housing Rehab Program, which is also marries in with the Home Buyer Program. But the Housing Rehab Program, just like you talked about as the windows, is that we provide capital. Now there's some interest to it, but it's on a deferred basis. So we'll go through and evaluate your home and find out what needs to be done on a housing quality standard. So a lot of safety measures, handrails, windows, roofs, anything that's a hazard, maybe GFI outlets, things like that. And we will assist you in putting together a work plan and go out and get bids to contractors and then lend you the money on a deferred basis. And what that means is that you don't have to worry about making installment payments to us monthly. That loan is deferred. It does get recorded onto your deed just like a loan from a bank, but you don't have to pay us back until you either sell that house or it's no longer your primary residence. And that just helps keep money in the pockets of these households so they don't have to worry about making that installment payment to us. They can worry about making their primary mortgage payment or any other household expenses.
now is this when, if I understand it correctly, this is when someone buys a house. So let's say I'm moderate income and I want to purchase a house, but getting something that is completely fixed up is just out of my price range.
Right.
So then CAP Services can step in, help me buy a house that is more in my price range by bringing it up to the standards?
That's exactly what typically the households that we work with, there's two parts to it. Let's say that it's a moderate income program. Let's say they can qualify for a mortgage from one of the local bankers here in town, and let's say that their amount is $80,000. That's all they can afford. But the house that they're interested in, or the houses that are available, are $95,000. So we'll help them. We'll lend them the money, the difference at $15,000. We actually require the household to bring at least $1,000 to the table themselves. So we'll gap finance the difference at $15,000. And then, in addition, it's required that we go through that house to make sure that it meets the housing quality standards. So there's no safety issues. If it needs a new roof in 3 years, we'll put it on now, so they don't have to worry about it in 3 years, and it should last 20 years, right? So.
And that $15,000 chunk of money gets recorded on my deed, but that's what I don't have to pay back until
you sell
I
the
sell
house.
or
Yeah.
don't live in it any longer.
And another thing that people don't realize about these programs is that how it's kind of a stimulus to the local economy, because we got title companies involved, we got realtors involved, we got construction supplies, carpet, drywall, roofing materials, contractors involved. It's all pouring money into the local economy, which is good for the community. And
Sure.
and if you look at our mission statement, transforming people and communities to advance economic and social justice, advancing communities, that's all part of it, is helping the economy.
Right, and helping everybody that is in a community.
Right.
So that's the down payment assistance and the weatherization programs. Now you have rental programs available, and you have apartments, townhomes
We do.
that you rent here in Waupaca.
We do. I would have to check the dates, but probably around 10 years ago, we started looking at Waupaca as an area of real estate development for us, and that's one of our 7 focus areas, community and real estate development. And we do this throughout our 5-county territory and throughout the state of Wisconsin. We got apartments as far east as Kewaunee, as far southwest as Lancaster, Wisconsin. The ones we have in Waupaca, we have senior units, 55 and older on Otter Drive. There's 39 units that we did in 2 phases there. 2-bedroom, 1-bath, attached garage, single level apartments for seniors. Rents range from $520 to $600 area, and more moderate income, and that includes your heat and water and sewer. And of course, we mow the lawns and shovel the snow for them and all those things.
Oh, that would be nice these days.
Yeah, but what else that does is that these seniors move out of the housing stock that's usually affordable for a working family. So you get a senior that sells their house that they've had for 40, 50 years so they don't have to mow the lawn and do all those things anymore. But it frees up that Cape Cod, that story and a half, 3-bedroom, 1.5-bath home that's good for a family of 3 or 4 or whatever, and it's affordable. They can buy it. So in a way, building these senior units is a way to free up some of the workforce housing stock in your communities and get it fixed up, because we come in, not only help them buy it, but then fix it up as we previously discussed in that program.
And it's nice to have something that is that is not necessarily income, where the rent isn't based on your income, but
Right.
something that is
That's
considered
yeah.
moderate, because I know a lot of seniors in this area, and they're living on a pretty tight budget. And with
Yeah.
all of the changes to Medicare and their prescriptions,
Right.
they're living on a tight budget.
And that's exactly what this housing is. This is more moderate income housing. So when people think of low income housing, they think of the subsidized housing where they're paying a percentage, 30%, no matter what their income is. And the rent could fluctuate every month. Where this is, the rates are set. So it's more modern income housing.
Okay, so you have the townhomes that are for families, also
Right.
moderate income,
They are, yeah.
right? So, but you have different, did I read this correctly, that you have different rent levels? Is that
We have
just
different
based
rent
on
levels,
the size?
yeah. It's based on, like in the senior housing, they're all 2 bedrooms. So they range from like 520 to 650. The ones that are a little bit lower rent levels are based on 50% of the county median income. That's just how the funding source, how we package these all together require. And then some are at the 60% level, but they don't fluctuate in between, they're set. And then in the cases of the senior apartments, we also have a couple units that are market rate, so you can be at any income. More expensive, but we've learned that when we started doing this, I mean, in Waupaca County, we have a lot of apartments. We have them in Iola and Clintonville, Waupaca, and people don't realize that, but we have 141 units just right in this area. What we realized specifically in these small towns is that you could build moderate income housing for seniors, but maybe their friends don't qualify, but their friends want to live there too. So we've learned that, yeah, it's good to put some what we call market rate units in each of these so they can remain like a community.
So you can help with you can help people of every income level.
So you're like diversifying keeping it more of
Yeah.
a community than just.
So if I'm watching this and I know something about CAP, and I used to be like this, I would think of CAP as helping the very low income people. It's the hand up instead of a handout
Right.
kind of thing. But what you're telling me is that with the housing programs, it's not necessarily that way.
Correct.
I can be watching this and say, well, I make a decent living, but things are still pretty tight.
Right.
And now they can call CAP services.
Correct, yes. And I think when people think of community action or just nonprofits in general, I think sometimes people think of that, they can give you a handout, like food pantries, and all that stuff is so needed. But CAP services is, our philosophy is more, instead of a handout, we're gonna give you a hand, and we're gonna help you get a better paying job. You got a job now, but if we can help you go back to school and further your education a little bit and help you get, instead of a $10 an hour job, a 16, 17, $18 an hour job. That's what we really want to do, is make a permanent change, not just a safety net or a temporary change in people's lives.
Got it. So if you want some information, we are going to have an 800 number on the website. There's a ton of information on the website. The website is very user-friendly, coming from someone who's not particularly internet savvy. But the website is easy. There's all kinds of contact information on there. So all they need to do is give a call and say, does a program that CAP services have fit
Correct, yeah.
me?
And a lot of times, if you call a number and you're not in the right spot, they will transfer you to the right spot and get you to the right program. So,
That's always terrific.
yes.
Well, thank you, Mike.
Oh, you're
I
welcome.
appreciate
It's a
your
pleasure.
time. Yeah, it's interesting to find out about all of the housing that CAP Services has here in
Yes.
Waupaca, because that was a surprise to me not all that long ago.
thank
So it's a great thing to hear that there's places here in Waupaca that can help you out, even if you're moderate income and just living on a budget. So give CAP Services a call or get on the website and email someone, and you can find out more about the programs. Thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Happening Waupaca. I am Joni, and I'll see you next time.